Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today we're tackling something pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that maybe not caring what others think could be like the secret to happiness.
Interesting.
We're diving into this article, The Joy of Not Caring What People Think. And it's written by this woman, L.J. Lewis, and she is seriously accomplished. She's a legal researcher and a writer and a women's advocate. And get this, she has degrees in psychology, criminology law, and fitness and health.
Wow, that's impressive.
Talk about someone who's probably dealt with a ton of pressure to fit in.
Yeah, she definitely sounds like she knows a thing or two about expectations.
For sure.
I'm curious to hear what she has to say about all this.
Me too. So right away, she connects this idea of not caring to two major things: self-acceptance and happiness.
Okay.
She even highlights some research showing that self-acceptance is a huge predictor of happiness.
Interesting.
So it's the more comfortable you are with yourself, the less you need validation from other people.
Yeah.
And that kind of opens the door to a more genuine type of contentment.
You know what I find really fascinating about this is how it kind of flips the script on how we usually think about happiness.
What do you mean?
Well, we're always told that, achievements, recognition, all that external stuff is what makes us happy.
Right.
But what if it's the other way around?
Yeah.
What if it's that inner peace, that deep self-acceptance?
Yeah.
That's the real foundation for happiness.
Totally. And it's not just some fluffy idea either.
Right.
There's actually this whole model called the psychological equilibrium model that supports it.
Oh, yeah, I've come across that one.
Have you?
It's super relevant here, I think. It basically emphasizes personal growth, particularly in areas like you were saying, self-acceptance and positive relationships. So it's instead of trying to squeeze yourself into a mold that someone else made for you, you focus on your own values, your own development. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed in my own life, when I'm not so worried about what other people think, I'm way more likely to, take risks and try new things.
Right.
And I end up feeling a lot more joyful and fulfilled.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And it actually leads right into the next point in the article about authenticity.
Okay.
Apparently, tons of research shows this strong link between living authentically and being happy.
Makes sense.
When you're true to yourself, those external judgments just don't have as much power over you.
Right.
And that opens up the path to a more genuinely fulfilling life.
I love that. This whole concept is really clicking for me. It's imagine you have this bird that's been stuck in a cage.
Okay.
And then it finally gets set free.
Yeah.
That's the kind of freedom that comes with being authentic. Just letting go of the need to pretend or fit in.
I love that analogy. When you're not performing for that imaginary audience, you can finally start doing things that align with what you value.
Yes.
What you desire. It's not just about feeling good anymore.
Right.
It's about actually creating a life that's truly your own.
Okay, I'm with you. So far, we've got self-acceptance and authenticity. But let's be real for a second. Worrying about what everyone thinks is exhausting.
Oh, tell me about it.
Let's talk about some of those benefits of not caring so much.
Okay.
Especially for our mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah, that's a good one. Actually, the article brings up this research from Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin.
Okay.
And it shows that people who aren't as focused on what others think tend to have less stress and anxiety.
That makes sense.
Right. Less pressure equals less worry.
Totally. It's like you're clearing out all this mental clutter when you stop second-guessing yourself.
Yeah.
Or trying to please everyone all the time.
Right. It frees up so much space for the good stuff.
Exactly.
It's like thinking of your mental and emotional well-being as these precious resources.
Yeah.
And when you let go of that need for constant approval, you're protecting those resources.
I like that.
It's prioritizing your inner peace.
Okay, now Lewis also mentions this idea of self-control, which at first glance seems a little counterintuitive.
I see what you mean, but it's actually pretty insightful.
How so?
Well, research has shown that people who have strong self-control tend to report higher levels of life satisfaction.
Okay, but how does self-control tie into not caring what others think?
It's all about building that inner strength to resist those external pressures, to stay true to your own values even when it's tough. Think about a time when maybe you felt tempted to go against your own values.
Oh, yeah?
Because of social pressure.
I've been there.
Self-control is like that muscle that helps you navigate those situations and ultimately act in line with your principles.
It's like having this inner compass
that
keeps you headed in the right direction, even when all the signs around you are confusing.
Exactly. And the best part is, The more you use that self-control muscle, even in small ways, the stronger it gets.
Right.
And that strength translates into greater well-being and a deeper sense of happiness.
So it's like a virtuous cycle.
Exactly.
Self-control helps you care less what others think.
Right.
And that leads to even greater self-control.
It empowers you to live a more authentic and fulfilling life on your own terms.
I like it. But there's another piece to this puzzle.
Oh, what's that?
Fear.
Ah, yes. Fear, especially fear of judgment.
Yeah.
That can be a major roadblock to personal growth.
How so?
Well, it can trap you in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Make you avoid challenges and basically dim your full potential.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there. You know,
right.
You want to do something. But that fear of what other people might think just paralyzes you.
It's so common.
Yeah.
But the article highlights how loosening our grip on that fear of judgment can actually encourage personal growth.
Okay.
We become more willing to take risks, to see stumbles as learning opportunities, and we ultimately build resilience.
It's making me think about all the times I've held back on an idea or a project.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid of what people might say.
I get it. It's a powerful fear. What if you hadn't let that fear win, though? Right?
What if you had just gone for it? Maybe you would achieve something truly remarkable.
It's like we put these limits on ourselves.
It is. It's limiting.
Yeah.
But imagine the possibilities if we could just let go of it.
Yeah.
We could unlock new levels of creativity and innovation.
Now you're talking.
Exactly. When we stop censoring ourselves or trying to please everyone,
yeah,
our creative juices start flowing more freely. We can be bolder, more original,
yes,
and ultimately so much more fulfilled.
All right, so let's recap. We've talked about self-acceptance, authenticity, the mental and emotional benefits of not caring so much, the power of self-control and overcoming fear.
Sounds like a good recipe for happiness so far.
Right. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more important thing to address.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is it?
It's about clearing up a potential misunderstanding. When we talk about not caring what people think,
yeah,
it might sound like we're saying be inconsiderate or ignore everyone's opinions.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You're right. We should definitely clear that up. It's crucial to draw a line between receiving constructive criticism and letting judgment hold you back.
Exactly.
Not caring isn't about being rude or dismissing all feedback.
Right.
It's more about prioritizing your own well-being and values without disrespecting others.
It's about finding that sweet spot between staying true to yourself and being mindful of your impact.
That's a great way to put it. It's a nuanced dance.
It is.
And that's what makes exploring this whole idea so fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much depth to this idea of finding joy and not caring what others think.
For sure. And we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to uncover.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into the joy of not caring what people think, where we'll continue exploring this concept and its implications.
So as we were finishing up part 1, we were talking about this potential misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That not caring means being inconsiderate.
Right.
But I think what we're really getting at here is more about recalibrating what we care about.
Exactly. It's not about becoming some robot who's immune to opinions.
Right.
It's more about understanding which opinions really deserve our attention and energy.
Yeah.
And which ones are just background noise that we can tune out.
It's like reclaiming your power.
Yeah.
Choosing where you invest your energy, because honestly, trying to please everyone is exhausting.
It is
really
impossible.
impossible.
So true. And when we let go of that need for approval, it opens up space for something really amazing.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Personal growth.
Right.
Which is what the article digs into next.
Oh, that's a good one. Lewis highlights how fear of judgment can be a huge roadblock to growth.
Right.
It keeps us stuck in our comfort zones, dodging challenges, and ultimately dimming our full potential.
I think we've all been there, right?
Sure.
You know that feeling when you want to try something new?
Uh-huh.
But you're so worried about what other people will think.
Totally. Like maybe you have a brilliant idea, but you're too nervous to share it.
Or you're dying to take a leap of faith, but the thought of failing publicly just keeps you frozen.
Classic examples of how fear of judgment can really hold us back.
It is. But what if we could shift our perspective a little?
What do you mean?
Like, what if we approach those situations with a more relaxed attitude towards judgment?
Okay. I like where this is going.
Imagine embracing failure as a chance to learn.
Right.
Or seeing critique as valuable feedback instead of a personal attack.
That would be huge. Suddenly, all those things that felt risky or scary,
they
become stepping stones on the path to growth.
That's the cool part. And the more we think this way, the more resilient we become.
Right.
We learn to bounce back from setbacks, take criticism in stride, and keep pushing ourselves even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like we develop this protective layer.
Yes.
Not to shut others out, but to keep us focused on our own path.
That resilience is key for growth because, let's face it, life's going to throw us curveballs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're going to hit those inevitable bumps in the road.
Right.
But it's how we respond to those challenges that really shapes our growth.
Okay, so we've established that not letting judgment control our choices can fuel personal growth. But how did this all connect back to that idea of joy we started with?
That's a great question. Think about that feeling you get when you overcome a challenge.
Okay.
Or finally achieve a goal you set for yourself. That deep sense of accomplishment and pride, that's pure joy.
And that joy is even bigger.
Yeah.
When you know you did it your way.
Yes.
Without letting fear or judgment call the shot.
Exactly. It's the joy of authenticity, the joy of knowing you stayed true to yourself.
Yeah.
And followed your own path, even if it wasn't everyone else's cup of tea.
It's like this inner victory.
Yes.
Proving to yourself that you're capable of so much more than you maybe thought.
That's a great way to put it. It's about unlocking your potential. And experiencing the pure joy of becoming your best self.
Okay, I'm really digging this whole joy of not caring idea.
Me too.
But are there any potential downsides?
That's a good question.
Can we take this too far?
It's important to acknowledge that, like most things in life, there's a balance to strike.
Right.
We talked earlier about how not caring doesn't mean throwing consideration for others out the window.
Right. It's not about being a jerk who disregards everyone's feelings.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're confident in your own choices and values, but also mindful of how your actions might affect other people.
So discerning, not dismissive.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about choosing your battles, knowing when to stand firm and when to adapt.
Makes sense. So self-assured, but not self-centered.
You got it. And I think this is where self-awareness is so crucial.
Okay.
The better we know ourselves, our motivations, our triggers, our core values, the better we can navigate this whole balance thing.
I love that. It's not just about not caring.
Right.
It's about being intentional with what we choose to care about.
Absolutely. It's about focusing our energy and attention on what really aligns with our values. And letting go of what drains us or doesn't serve us.
Okay, I'm really seeing the potential here.
Should.
But honestly, is it really possible to just stop caring what people think?
I hear you. It's tough, right? Especially in this day and age.
It is. Social media and all that pressure to project this perfect image.
It's everywhere. But I do believe that with conscious effort and practice, we can learn to detach from all that noise and cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace.
So what are some practical steps we can take to start doing that?
One thing that can help is just becoming more aware of your thought patterns.
Okay.
You know, pay attention to that negative self-talk, especially when you're feeling judged. Challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this real or is this just fear and insecurity talking?
It's like becoming your own therapist.
Exactly. Another powerful technique is to focus on your values. What truly matters to you? What kind of person do you want to be?
Right.
When you're clear about your values, it becomes easier to make choices that align with them.
Yeah.
Even if those choices aren't popular with everyone.
It's like having that inner compass that keeps you on course.
Yes. And finally, I think cultivating self-compassion is crucial.
In what way?
We're all human. We're all going to mess up sometimes.
That's true.
Instead of beating yourself up when you stumble, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend.
It's about giving ourselves permission to be imperfect.
Exactly.
To learn and grow from our mistakes.
You got it. And when you can approach life with that gentleness towards yourself, the fear of judgment starts to lose its power.
Okay. This is making a lot of sense. So it's not about striving for perfection.
Right.
It's about being kind to ourselves and embracing our humanness.
Exactly. And that kindness creates the foundation for living more authentically and with more joy.
So we've been unpacking this whole idea of the joy of not caring what people think.
Yeah, it's been pretty fascinating.
Right. We've talked about the research linking self-acceptance and authenticity and all those practical benefits of letting go of those judgments.
Right. Those judgments that can really hold us back.
Exactly. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to this idea of balance.
Yeah, good point.
Right.
Because while it's empowering to embrace this not caring philosophy. We got to remember that it's not about just dismissing everyone's opinions or being inconsiderate.
Totally. It's more about being intentional with our energy.
Right.
Choosing which opinions deserve our attention.
Exactly. And recognizing that while feedback can be valuable, it doesn't define us.
It's about owning our lives, but not at the expense of others. Staying true to ourselves, while still being respectful of those around us.
And that's where self-awareness comes in.
Big time.
The more we understand ourselves, our motivations, our values, even our triggers, the better we can navigate that balance.
It's like having that inner compass.
Yes.
That helps us stay on course.
Exactly. And that inner compass helps us embrace the joy of not caring.
Yeah.
Without isolating ourselves.
It's not about shutting people out.
Right.
It's more about building those bridges.
I like that analogy.
To our authentic selves and the people who really matter.
Those authentic connections are where the real joy and fulfillment comes from.
I have to admit.
Yeah.
Even after all this discussion, I still kind of wrestle with this whole not caring thing.
I hear you. It's not easy.
It's like there's this little voice in my head that whispers, what if you're wrong? What if you mess up?
No, we all have those inner critics, right? Those voices of doubt and fear.
So how do we quiet them down? How do we overcome that fear of judgment?
Well, it takes practice, but I think one helpful strategy is to keep your values front and center.
Okay.
When you know what's truly important to you, it becomes easier to make choices that align with those values, even if those choices aren't going to please everyone.
It's like having a filter for all that outside noise.
Exactly. And cultivating self-compassion is huge too.
Yeah? In what way?
We all make mistakes, right? We're human.
For sure.
So instead of beating yourself up when you stumble, try treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend.
It's about giving ourselves a break.
Yeah.
Letting ourselves be imperfect.
Exactly.
And learning from those experiences without all that harsh self-judgment.
When you approach life with that self-compassion, the fear of judgment starts to fade.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about being kind to ourselves. And embracing our humanness.
You got it. And that kindness sets the stage for a more authentic and joyful life.
This conversation is making me think about my own journey with all this.
Oh, really? Tell me about it.
For years, I was so afraid to pursue my passion for writing.
Wow, why is that?
I was terrified of what people would think. Judgment, rejection, failure.
I get it.
The whole 9 yards.
It's tough to put yourself out there.
It is. But then I finally just said, enough.
Good for you.
I started writing every day. Even if it was just for a few minutes.
Wow. That takes discipline.
It was scary at first.
I bet.
But it was also incredibly freeing.
Yeah.
And, the more I wrote, the less I cared about what other people thought.
I can imagine.
And the more I embraced that freedom, the more joy I found in the whole thing.
Yeah. That's so inspiring. It really shows how much we can transform when we let go of that fear.
Totally. And that's what I want to leave our listeners with today.
Okay. I'm all ears.
If there's something you're holding back from because of that fear of judgment, ask yourself, what if I just let go? What if I embrace the joy of not caring what people think?
You might be surprised by what happens.
You really might. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the joy of not caring what people think.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a great conversation, full of insights and inspiration. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing the joy of being you.